Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez, and today is September 28th, 2024, and you're listening to episode 17 of our Haunted America series. We're heading down to the Bluegrass State, Kentucky. Known for its rolling hills, bourbon distilleries, and rich history, Kentucky also has a dark side. From haunted plantations to ghostly caverns, Kentucky is filled with stories that will chill you down to your bones. So go grab your flashlights and let's dive into 10 of the most haunted locations in Kentucky. Our first stop is one of the most haunted locations in America, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville. Originally opened in 1910 as a tuberculosis hospital, Waverly Hills saw thousands of deaths during the tuberculosis epidemic. With so much suffering and death, it's no wonder that the sanatorium is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. The body chute, a long tunnel where the bodies of deceased patients were discreetly removed to avoid lowering morale among the living, is said to be filled with the spirits of those who died at Waverly Hills. Many visitors have reported hearing whispers and screams echoing through the tunnels, feeling cold drafts, or sensing an unseen presence as they descend into its depths. Room 502 has its own dark tale. Legend has it that a nurse hung herself in this room after discovering she was pregnant and unmarried, a situation considered scandalous at the time. Over the years, many have seen the figure of a woman in a white nurse's uniform standing by the window, gazing out as if longing for something lost. Some have felt an overwhelming sadness upon entering the room, accompanied by soft sounds of sobbing or the touch of a cold hand. There are also stories of another nurse who was pushed or jumped to her death from the roof. People have seen her shadowy figure pacing back and forth, forever reliving that fatal moment. Waverly Hills Sanatorium offers guided tours, but many who visit leave feeling that the spirits of those who suffered here are still reaching out from beyond. Next, we travel to Wilder, Kentucky, to Bobby Mackey's Music World, a nightclub that's been called the most haunted nightclub in America. Originally a slaughterhouse in the 19th century, the site has a dark history that includes murder, suicide, and alleged satanic rituals. The basement is said to contain a well that was used for ritualistic practices, and it's rumored to be a portal to hell. One of the most infamous spirits here is that of Pearl Bryan, a young woman who was brutally murdered in 1896. Her headless body was found nearby, and many believe her spirit still haunts the area, searching for her missing head. Guests have heard a woman's voice softly crying or calling out, and some have seen a headless apparition wandering near the old well, especially on dark, moonless nights. Then there's the tale of Joanna, a former dancer at the club who is said to have taken her own life after her lover was murdered. She's often described as a beautiful woman in a flowing dress, with the scent of roses lingering in the air whenever she appears. Patrons have reported hearing her singing softly from the stage, even when the room is empty. Her presence seems to be tied to the club's music. Her melodic songs blend with the echoes of the past. Today, Bobby Mackey's Music World is still a functioning nightclub, offering live country music, karaoke, and line dancing every Friday and Saturday night. Despite its paranormal reputation, the club has become a popular destination for those interested in the paranormal. Bobby Mackey himself remains a skeptic of the ghostly tales, but acknowledges that many strange occurrences have been reported by staff and visitors over the years. As of March of 2024, Bobby Mackey's Music World has temporarily relocated from its iconic location in Wilder, Kentucky, to Florence, Kentucky. This move is due to structural issues with the Wilder building, which will be partially torn down and rebuilt. Let's see if it stirs up some more ghost stories. Our next stop is the Old Louisville Ghost District, a historic neighborhood with one of the largest collections of Victorian homes in the United States. With its tree-lined streets and beautiful old houses, Old Louisville may look charming, but it's also known as one of the most haunted neighborhoods in the country. Probably the most famous ghosts in Old Louisville is the lady in the white dress. She's often seen wandering around the St. James Court fountain, her long, flowing gown glowing in the moonlight. Some say she's searching for a lost lover, while others believe she's looking for her child. Witnesses have reported an intense cold that accompanies her presence, along with the soft strains of a music box playing a haunting, melodic tune. Another well-known haunting is at the Conrad Cladwell House, also known as Conrad's Castle. Built in 1859, this mansion is said to be haunted by its original owner, Theophilus Conrad. Guests have seen a shadowy figure at the top of the grand staircase, silently watching those below. Doors open and close on their own, and footsteps echo through the empty halls late at night. Some have even felt a hand brush against them or heard a whisper that seems to come from nowhere. The entire district is filled with ghostly tales, from the lady in black peering out from behind lace curtains to the spirit of a young boy who delights in playing pranks on residents. The Old Louisville Ghost District offers walking tours for those brave enough to explore its haunted history and meet its spectral inhabitants. Next, we head to the Boone Tavern Hotel in Berea, a historic inn named for the famous frontierman Daniel Boone. Opened in 1909, this elegant hotel has welcomed guests from all over the world, but it's also known for its ghostly inhabitants. The most famous spirit at the Boone Tavern Hotel is that of a little girl who is often seen playing in the hallways. Guests have reported hearing the sound of a bouncing ball or a child giggling, even when no children are present. Her laughter is often heard late at night, echoing through the corridors, and some have felt the light touch of a child's hand as they pass by. In the dining room, chairs are often found mysteriously rearranged, and tables set as if for an unseen guest. Some guests have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a woman in period clothing standing by the window, gazing out with a look of quiet longing. In one encounter, a housekeeper saw a woman in a long, old-fashioned dress disappearing around a corner, only to find no one there when she followed. There's also the spirit of an older woman believed to have been a former housekeeper. She is often seen tidying up the rooms, her figure faint but determined, and some guests have woken up to find their belongings neatly arranged at the foot of their bed. The Boone Tavern Hotel remains open, inviting guests to enjoy its historic charm and perhaps a brush with the unknown. Our next location is Mothman Cave, the longest cave system in the world, located in Mothman Cave National Park. With over 400 miles of explored passageways, it's a place filled with dark corners and hidden chambers, and some say it's home to more than just bats. One of the most famous spirits said to haunt Mothman Cave is that of Floyd Collins, a cave explorer who tragically died after becoming trapped in Sand Cave in 1925. His body was stuck for over 2 weeks, drawing national attention but he couldn't be rescued in time. Many visitors have reported hearing Floyd's voice calling out for help, his desperate pleas echoing through the dark caverns. His spirit is said to appear as a faint light, moving slowly along the cave walls, searching for a way out. Another ghostly presence is that of Stephen Bishop, a slave who became one of the first to explore and map the cave in the 1800s. Described as a fearless and adventurous guide, his spirit is often seen walking through the cave with a lantern, leading a group of invisible tourists. Some have seen his shadow pass by in the deeper, unexplored parts of the cave, where no light should reach. There are also tales of ghostly campfires that flicker briefly in the darkness before vanishing, and a mysterious fog that appears and dissipates without warning. Mothman Cave is open for tours, and its haunted reputation draws visitors from all over the world. It remains a must-visit destination for those interested in both its natural beauty and its ghostly legends. Next, we visit the Seelbach Hotel in Louisville, a grand and luxurious hotel that opened in 1905. The Seelbach has hosted countless celebrities, politicians, and even a few mobsters, but it's also known for its resident ghost, known as the Lady in Blue. The Lady in Blue is believed to be the spirit of a woman named Patricia Wilson. She died tragically after falling down an elevator shaft in the 1930s. She's often seen in the hotel's lobby, dressed in a blue dress, her face sad and her movements slow. Guests have reported feeling a sudden chill when she passes by and hearing the faint sound of a woman crying. Her presence is often felt near the elevators, where guests have experienced sudden gusts of cold air and a sense of intense sorrow. The Seelbach Mezzanine is another hotspot for ghostly activity. Some guests have felt a soft touch on their shoulder or heard a faint whisper asking them to stay. The ghostly piano music that plays late at night is believed to be her favorite tune, and those who follow the sound often find the grand piano deserted. The Seelbach Hotel remains a luxurious destination, but for those sensitive to the supernatural, it's also a place where the past lingers just beneath the surface. Next, we head to the Whitehall State Historic Site in Richmond, a grand mansion built in the 1790s and expanded in the mid-19th century. The house was once the home of Cassius Marcellus Clay, an outspoken abolitionist and politician known for his fiery temper and colorful personality. Today, it's known for its ghostly residents. Visitors and staff have reported seeing the apparition of a tall man believed to be Cassius Clay himself, pacing back and forth in the library, his face stern and his footsteps heavy. He's often seen late at night, holding a book or staring out the window. Some have felt a strong sense of anger or frustration in the room, as if Clay's spirit is still debating his enemies. The mansion also seems to be the home of the spirit of one of Clay's daughters, who tragically died at a young age. She is often heard giggling and playing, and some have seen her peeking around corners or hiding behind curtains. The scent of cigar smoke frequently fills the study, where Clay spent many hours writing his fiery speeches. Guests have reported hearing the rustling of paper and the faint sound of a quill scratching across parchment, even though the room is completely empty. White House offers guided tours where visitors can learn about its rich history and maybe even meet its ghostly residents. Our next stop is the Old Talbot Tavern in Bardstown, known as the oldest Western stagecoach stop in America. Built in 1779, this historic tavern has hosted many famous guests, including Jesse James, who reportedly left bullet holes in the wall after a drunken shooting spree. But it's not just famous outlaws who haunt this place. The most famous ghost at the Old Talbot Tavern is believed to be a woman in white, often seen wandering the upstairs halls. She's said to be the spirit of a former guest who died tragically while staying at the tavern. Guests have reported hearing her footsteps in the hallways, feeling a cold breeze, and even seeing her reflection in the mirrors. Some have heard the faint sound of a music box playing in the dead of night. There's also the spirit of a little boy who's been seen playing on the staircase or hiding in the corners of the dining room. He's known for his mischievous pranks, like moving chairs and knocking over glasses. The basement is another hotspot for paranormal activity, where shadows move on their own, and strange noises echo off the stone walls. Visitors have reported feeling a sudden chill and an overwhelming sense of being watched. The Old Talbot Tavern is still open, offering food, drinks, and perhaps a ghostly encounter. Our final stop brings us to the Perryville battlefield, the site of one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. On October 8, 1862, over 7,000 soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing in a single day of fighting. The land is now a historic site, but many believe the spirits of the fallen still roam the fields. Visitors have reported hearing the sound of musket fire and cannon blasts, even when the battlefield is quiet. Some have seen ghostly figures of soldiers marching in formation, their uniforms tattered and bloodstained. Others have heard faint cries for help, the sound of a bugle playing taps, and even the rustling of a battle flag in the wind. There are also tales of ghostly campfires that flicker briefly in the distance before vanishing, and a mysterious fog that rolls in without warning. Some visitors have felt a sudden, chilling breeze and a sense of profound sadness, as if the weight of history is pressing down on them. The Perryville battlefield is open to the public, offering tours and reenactments, but many believe the spirits of those who fought and died here still linger, waiting for peace that may never come. And that is our look at Kentucky, guys. I really hope you're enjoying Haunted America. We are taking a look at 10 different haunted locations from each of the 50 states. We're not even halfway there, so we still got a lot of shows for you guys. If you're enjoying the Halloween podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts from. And while you're doing that, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have any comments, questions, or want to suggest anything for a future show, go ahead and send me an email, thehalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com, and pick up some wonderful podcast merch. And also don't forget to go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thehalloweenpodcast. I post a lot of cool stuff there. We have a great community, so go ahead and like the page. The Halloween podcast is growing so quickly, guys. I really appreciate all of the downloads, all of the new listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. And join me tomorrow as we continue Haunted America in Louisiana. Until tomorrow, guys, have a good night.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.